Good Tuesday morning. This in the Acts of the Apostles is interesting. Is the preaching of Paul, and he comes. He's in Ephesus. Okay, he goes from Miletus to the church of Ephesus. Okay, it's interesting. That's where interesting. Miletus is where philosophy began. It's interesting. He's moving in a culture that is not only Jewish. It's Hellenic. It is a different world. He is engaging the world. But it's also, I think, in this text, it's something poignant. He says, I don't know what's in it, what's going to happen. I'm doing my best. I'm preaching the word, but I don't know what's in store for me, because he's running into conflict, first among the Jews, but he's also going into a world that is, in a sense, truly hostile. And I'm using the word world now, meaning the culture. Some will receive him, some will reject him. But it's also a world in which there is both human wisdom and human law. He's going to play off of both of those. He preaches to the Greeks. He often gets his foot in his mouth, because you'll see it when he preaches about the resurrection of the body to the Greeks. They say, "What are you kidding me? Don't give me this. You got to be joking." Okay, you'll see that. But he also says, "I want to talk to her. I want to see Caesar. He has a right to appeal to Caesar." That's Roman law. See. So he's figuring out as he's going along, but he doesn't know for sure what's in store for him. He doesn't know. It's an adventure in grace. And I have to say that, if you don't mind me being so overly personal in all of this, it's because I think all our vocations are adventures in grace and mystery. What do we really know we're getting into? It felt called. I thought I would live all my life monastically, and this is what I wanted. Yet I've lived a solitary life, which is the life of a monk, like the guy in the desert, the last 34 years, since I came back here in 89. Is that 34 years? My math is pathetic. Yeah, 34 years. I came back to chair the philosophy department. But I felt called at that time. I could have been asked to live with the Passionists, my fellow Passionists in the Western Province in Hartford, in St. Louis, in our retreat house. But I didn't want to do that. I loved living in Louisville with our Passionists, my fellow Passionists. It wasn't a rejection of community life at all. I lived with the best community I ever lived in my years as a Passionist. I lived in Louisville. That was the best community I ever lived in. They were both greatly fraternal and apostolic. Good Lord, they were creatively apostolic. You had to be with those fellows. What great men, period. And they lived it. I mean it. It was an honor and a pleasure to live with those men. And they actually accepted me. Yeah, I'm an odd duck, okay? And I think some of them said, "Where's this guy coming from?" Whatever. I'm from the East Coast. There's always a tension between the East and West. You got to know that. We have never gotten over the Civil War and other things, okay? Whatever. But I felt a call to go on my own. I really did. I'm telling the truth. No longer to be dependent institutionally, for daily living. I wanted to take more control over my life, in the sense, not control in the sense of power, but responsibility, more responsibility for my life. That's a better way. And I've lived alone for the last 34 years. The order, first was an apartment, and now they bought a condo for me 23 years ago, which I think was a good investment, given the long run. My condo's doubled in value. So the order was going to come away with a great investment once I die or whatever happens, okay? But it was an adventure. This is not what I ever dreamt of 1959, 1960 when I joined the outfit. Not at all. But it's been an adventure. And I don't question for a second my commitment to the Passionist charism, the Passionist community. I am a Passionist, more than I am a priest. I practice the priesthood every day. I'm leaving here in 20 minutes to go say Mass at St. Mark's, where I've been saying Mass between St. Tim's and St. Mark's, the same parish, okay? For 52 years. I came here in 71. I left and came back, of course, when I was in Louisville. But I kept back and forth. I've never lost contact with the people of this parish. I've never not ministered to it, one way or another. 5 generations. See, that's the priesthood. But if you ask me, who are you? Who are you as a vocation? What is your vocation? I'm a passionist. Who is a priest, but I'm a passionist. I see all things in the crucified Christ. That's the truth. I am a passionist. In fact, when I'm home here on Saturday morning when I say Mass by myself, I just wear my habit and a stole that my friends gave me. That's it. No vestments, just a habit. Just my habit. Yeah. I used to wear it at Mass all the time at the parish, but I got antsy about that because when we moved, there were vestments got lost. I was so afraid my habit would be lost, so I brought it home. I did not want to leave my habit in the parish church. I was in St. Mark's. I was just afraid something could happen. I saw vestments get lost in the transitions and all of that. So, because in the past, I always wore my habit at Mass. But I wear my habit in my heart, I have to say. When graduation, I always wear my habit. I never wear a cap and gown. I always wear my habit. And I put my doctoral robe over the top, over it. The doctoral stole, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I'm a passionist, and I want the world to know it. I'm not a Jesuit. I'm a passionist. And when I walk down that aisle with the students graduating, I walk down as a passionist. And if I have to go up on the stage, I go up as a passionist. I want the world to see that. I want the world that I live in to say, I am a passionist. I am not a Jesuit. I'm not a Dominican. I'm a passionist. See? And it's been an adventure. It's the whole point I'm trying to make. It's been an adventure. Sometimes there's been hostilities. There's been sadnesses, not hostilities. I've had a few shares and annoyances, this and that. It's just life, okay? But it's deep sadness. I've lost some people, many of Junie, the people I love the most in the world in many, many ways, aside from my immediate family. Almost all are dead. People with whom I have walked this life. My friend June, her family, Junie and Bill, but others as well. There's only one person left here in St. Louis of that gang I hung with, okay? The people from the parish. Their kids and grandkids are alive. But I'm talking about the companionship. That was Junie and Bill. There was Angie Rainey. There was Dick Heinrichs. God, there was so many. Different. They weren't necessarily connected to each other, but they were connected to me. Buried them. I left them. They're dead. And so in that regard, I know what it is to cry for the dead and to feel the emptiness. I share that with the widows and the widowers. When your companions in life die off, your family. I lost my parents, my aunts and uncles, my cousin Harry. I know the feeling of death. And I feel that sadness in the great mystery and adventure of life. I'll feel that very powerfully. But I also feel it as a passionist as well, because I feel and I see all that suffering, their death and my suffering, as filling up those things, wanting in the suffering of Christ. I see it as Good Friday. And in Good Friday, Easter Sunday. Somebody asked me in the parish, when you look forward to paradise or heaven, what do you look forward to? I said, be with my family, those whom I have loved and been loved by. I want to walk again with Junie forevermore, no longer with tears and loneliness and death, but now forevermore. I want to be with my parents. I want to be with my aunts and uncles, my cousin Harry. I want to be with those I have loved and been loved by, the gang of St. Tim's, my family, my friends, my fellow passionists, without whom you would not have me sitting here. Think of Flavian, my classmates, Malcolm, Tom, and John. I want to be with them again, forevermore. I love that line in Whitehead, philosopher Whitehead, when he spoke of eternity as forevermore, forevermore. Living forevermore together in the intimacy of communion itself, the community of life, communion, being together.